Hey, your buddy Peace and Harmony here with you here today. Emotional barriers towards healing after experiencing narcissistic or psychopathic abuse. There are certain emotional barriers that keep us stuck, that keeps us limited, that keeps us kind of where we're at, so we're not moving forward. It's preventing us from realizing our full potential, becoming self-actualized. And I know that these are all big words and concepts, but it really just means things that are stunting us from living life to the best of our happiness, to the best of our ability, to the best of our talent, to the best of our intuition, our guidance, our own internal identity. And there are certain emotional barriers that are put in place after experiencing abuse with the narcissist or the psychopath. And as we've discussed in previous videos, the narcissist and the psychopath are personality disorder type of people that range on a spectrum. A psychopath is definitely more pronounced, more severe sort of abuse. Really has to do with a lot of immoral behavior and treatment, and if you've been in that environment, as well as the environment set up by that established by a narcissist, extremely critical, judgmental, these can create emotional barriers within you that inhibit you, that stop you from being your best self, really living your life to the fullest. And this is, it is a shame that, you have been through this abuse, and oftentimes that shame will stop you from moving forward. It's almost, there's a humiliation, there's an embarrassment. There's a wound there, there's a bruised ego, a bruised self, really. And sometimes it takes, confronting these issues in order to move forward. So it does take a lot of bit of, of courage and audacity and boldness on your part to step up for yourself, step up for your life, and confront and break down these emotional barriers. Let's take a quick look at maybe what has established these. For one, in the narcissist, living only to satisfy another person rather than yourself, your own internal self, that creates an emotional barrier because you've oppressed, you've shut down so much of your own desire, your own drives, your own wishes that you've shut them down, you've oppressed them within yourself, you've muffled them, you've silenced them for so long. It's hard for you to wake these up. In fact, a lot of people say they just don't know what they want. And it seems very strange. How can you not know what you want? How come you don't know what you want to become? How come you don't know where you want to go? It's because this internal voice, this internal gauge has been shut down for so long, and by such a strong mechanism, such chronic denial and such chronic abuse, that it creates like Fort Knox. You can barely loosen yourself up. You can barely feel comfortable. You can barely shake off the shame and go ahead and be comfortable in life and pursue these things without feeling guilty, without feeling remorse that you're not taking care of this other person, that you're not acting according to their whims, that you're not acting according to their wishes, which don't serve you, which are not in your best interests. And so, especially if you've been involved in this situation, experiencing this abuse for some time, the longer that mechanism of repressing your own voice is going to be in place. So you have to really acknowledge that is, the source, and look at the cause of why you feel so inhibited, why you feel so emotionally limited, why you feel so held back, why you feel so stuck, why it's so difficult for you to move forward and pursue the life that you want, because these emotional barriers have been put in place through this sort of abuse. So what is it going to take to eradicate this barrier? We want to look at that, as well as, with in the psychopath. It's almost that has also that's also on another level. However, usually in psychopathic abuse, that of the sociopath, someone who has treated us with such disregard, disrespect, and has really violated us unbeknownst to us, not in front of our eyes, but generally in the psychopath, it's something that we've exposed and discovered about them. That that can be so horrific. What we see, we can barely believe our eyes, And so the shock and the trauma is enough to create that emotional barrier to keep us stuck. We feel so violated and betrayed that it's hard to reconnect to ourselves. We're in such a state of sometimes disbelief and so much pain and regret that we tend to take this in a self-sabotaging manner where we sabotage ourselves. And this also occurs in people who have been through quite a bit of narcissistic abuse as well, the self-sabotage. What does self-sabotage mean? It means when you're acting counterintuitively to yourself, which seems really strange. I mean, if you were to, I go with my analogies again, but a bear in the woods, I mean, he's not going to act counterproductively to himself. He's going to go and he's going to jump in that river and he's going to grab that that fish. He's going to use his claws and he's going to eat that plant that is satisfying to him. He's going to, climb up that little shrub and he's going to eat those berries. He's going to take care of his youth. The bear does not act counterintuitively to themselves. However, once a person has been subjected to severe and chronic narcissistic and psychopathic abuse, they very often are prone to engage in self-sabotage, which means they act counterintuitively to their own best interests. It seems very strange. Most animals would not do this. Whether it's a dog, whether it's a horse, whether it's a panda bear, whether it's a butterfly, most of life is not going to act counterintuitively to its own best interests. However, after the abuse and suffering and experiencing such splitting, this becomes almost habitual and unconscious. What does self-sabotage look like? Excessive spending sprees, spending more than we have, getting into financial trouble. Shopaholicism, where one is shopping as a way of quote unquote retail therapy, overly purchasing items, in order to cover up the hurt that has been done to them, which you need to really resolve the issues within. I mean, I knew someone who had purchased, as I think I mentioned in another video, they had over like 300 bras. Another gentleman who had over 30 colognes. I mean, this is obviously, an issue. This is not serving you to overwhelm yourself with excessive shopping behavior, hoarding, things of that nature. Drinking, excessively drinking and drugging, getting to the point where you're sick, you can't think clearly. Your thoughts are fragmented because of drinking too much, because of drugging too much, because your friends aren't good for you, they're not supportive of you, and they condone this type of behavior. They want you to go out and get drunk, stay out, throw off your schedule and not focus on what's productive for you. These are all sorts of sabotaging behaviors. Compulsive overeating, eating disorders, anorexia, binging and purging, the bulimic cycle. That can also be tied to narcissistic abuse. And these again are emotional barriers to you becoming your best and living your life to the fullest and free of anxiety. So you need to eradicate these barriers by confronting them, by acknowledging them, and then letting them go. Seeing that they no longer serve you, this is no longer in your best interests, and then day by day stopping these behaviors. If you have a lot of trouble, stopping some of these, if you're, definitely addicted, look at getting some serious professional help. Joining Alcoholics Anonymous, Debtors Anonymous. People do gamble quite a bit. I think there's a Debtors Anonymous for people who have, self-sabotaging financial behaviors, and they really don't get how money works, and they're constantly making errors with money. So first you have to acknowledge it and see what it's doing to you and realize the payoff, and see that it's not really serving you. Let it go, and then pick up another positive behavior. Something where you're responsible that can help you get a system in place. Shopaholic, really looking at what you're doing to yourself, getting a list of your receipts, keeping track of these on a spreadsheet so you're no longer into this. Same thing with overeating. Getting yourself a notebook so you can kind of log what the heck is going on here so you can see it on paper in front of you. And as you start to acknowledge it and accept it, you'll be able to eradicate these barriers and you'll be able to live a more peaceful and balanced life. Peace and harmony here with you here today. Please share and subscribe for more great tools, videos, and discussions.